The strong connection between hip-hop and sports was once summed up by rap star Lil Wayne, who told ESPN, "Athletes want to be rappers, rappers want to be athletes. Sports and music are connected by youth. Music is youth, sports is youth. And to the younger players, music is their motivating force." On the hip-hop side, Master P once attempted to play basketball for the NBA when he was accepted into the Charlotte Hornets training camp roster in January of 1999, but was released 10 days later on February 1st. J. Cole also played professional basketball for 4 games as a member of the Scarborough Shooting Stars of the Canadian Elite Basketball League, and also played in Africa. But when it comes to the overlap between basketball and hip-hop culture, it usually plays out the other way around, with pro ball players putting out rap music of their own. Just because athletes might be listening to rap music in the locker room to get them hyped up before a game doesn't mean that they have what it takes to make hit songs. Even a young late 90s NBA star growing up with hip-hop, like Allen Iverson, probably the #1 rapper that reflected hip-hop in his overall style and demeanor on and off the court, who was a decent rapper and could write his own rhymes, learned the curse of mixing sports careers with rap careers the hard way. It's safe to say that the 7'1", 4-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal was the first major basketball player to see real success in the music industry as a rapper. In October of 1993, 3 years before Allen Iverson entered the NBA in '96, Shaquille O'Neal released his debut album, Shaq Diesel, and instead of being laughed off the court and off the studio, the album sold over 1 million copies. Singles from that album like I Know I Got Skills and What's Up Doc were certified gold, and so was Shaq's follow-up album, Shaq Fu: The Return. Then, the king of pop Michael Jackson even invited Shaq to feature on the 6 times platinum album History for the song Too Bad. You would think that after Shaq generated all that money as a rapper that he would open the floodgates for other athletes to pour in and bank on their own fame with a second career in music. But unfortunately, Shaq's success turned out to be a very rare event. He may have given a whole bunch of NBA players the courage to cash in on record deals, but the majority flopped. Even Shaq's superstar teammate Kobe Bryant experienced a huge break when he was supposed to release his debut album Visions in 2000. Even with features from 50 Cent, Destiny's Child, Black Thought, and even Tyra Banks, Visions was shelved. Hip-hop pioneer LL Cool J remembers listening to the unreleased album with Kobe and being confused by its content. "We talked about rap. He played me this gangsta rap album and I was like, Kobe, come on dog, that's not what you need to be doing." He played me that album, we're sitting in a parking lot, I was confused. I was sitting there like, what are we doing? You got endorsements, what are you doing? It had to be the funniest moment of my life. The list of NBA players that tried and failed is long, including Chris Webber, Metta World Peace, also formerly known as Ron Artest, Jason Kidd, Tony Parker, Iman Shumpert, and even Delonte West. But one of the most surprising shocks of all the NBA players that tried to release albums and dropped the ball in doing so is Allen Iverson. It's not like Allen Iverson was some scrub player that was sitting on the bench. Even at only about 6 feet, 6'1", and around 165 pounds, AI still paved the way for point guards to handle the ball aggressively. And during his 14-year NBA career, most of which was spent with the 76ers, he was one of the most highest scorers, averaging nearly 27 points per game, along with 6 assists and 3.7 rebounds. And even without winning a championship, he was picked to play in 11 All-Star games, won the scoring title 4 times, had the most steals during 3 seasons, and was chosen as the league's most valuable player in 2001. But it wasn't just Iverson's undeniable stardom on the court that should have translated into the music industry. When AI played in the NBA between 1996 and 2010, he even dressed like a rapper of that era in baggy clothing, bulky platinum and diamond chains and watches, braided hair, multiple tattoos, which is a commonplace now, but it wasn't back then, and fitted caps, including do-rags. At a time when NBA players were expected to carry a, quote, family-friendly, clean-cut look. When you take one look at the previous NBA stars of the 80s and 90s like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, and Kobe Bryant, that were petitioned to get brand endorsements and sneaker deals, they were generally guys with haircuts that you could go to a job interview with, wore suits off the court, were photographed with fan-friendly smiles, and had very little controversy in their personal lives. None of these things really applied to Allen Iverson, who talked, dressed, and partied like the hard life that he had escaped out of, not with the squeaky clean image polished with heavy media training. Compared to AI, it's a whole lot easier to see why Kobe Bryant wouldn't be accepted as a rapper back then, between 1999 and 2000. This is especially true considering Kobe recorded a song with a title like Thug Poet, when Kobe spent his childhood in not only the suburbs of Philadelphia, but also in Italy, went to arguably the best basketball high school in the US, and had a father that was literally an NBA player and coach. This level of pre-rap comfort are some of the things that rappers with a more middle-class background like Ye and Drake would later be criticized for. But back in the 90s and early 2000s, AI's difficult upbringing was very relatable. He grew up in a single-parent home, born to a 15-year-old mother and an absent father, in the housing projects of Hampton, Virginia, with the biography that fit right in with the rags to riches underdog stories that helped make many other rappers like Fat Joe, Ghostface Killah, and even Jay-Z famous. Allen Iverson wasn't just a rich NBA star trying to rap. Much like 50 and Eminem, he had a story of overcoming struggle to tell. His rap career may have eventually failed, but his NBA career could have been destroyed too if a horrible event when he was just a teen had gone differently. At age 17, Allen Iverson found himself in a life-changing situation. He was currently a star high school player at the time in Hampton, Virginia, who the year before had played for the Boo Williams AAU basketball team that won the 1992 17 and under national championship. On Valentine's Day of '93, Allen Iverson and his teenage friends Michael Simmons, Melvin Stevens, and Samuel Wynn were reportedly in an altercation at a bowling alley in Hampton with patrons that happened to be white, and they were all black. After being asked to quiet down a few times, allegedly a shouting match led to a fight between the black and white crowds, with a white woman said to have been hit in the head by Allen Iverson with a chair, which was later proven to be false. AI and his three friends were the only people arrested. Allen Iverson was convicted as an adult of the felony charge of maiming by mob, a rarely used Virginia law that was originally decided to combat the lynching of black people many decades before. Iverson and his friends were soon facing up to 15 years in prison. The local black community in Hampton, Virginia wore free Iverson t-shirts, wrote graffiti on buildings that said "Justice for Bubba Chuck," who was Iverson's nickname. Marches and protests occurred, and boycotts of local merchants were being considered. National media coverage began to spread in mediums like USA Today and The Washington Post. Civil rights organizations like the NAACP got involved, and movie director Spike Lee even wrote a letter to young AI to show him some support. A videotape eventually surfaced of the incident that not only proved Allen Iverson's innocence, and he never harming the woman, but it also showed him leaving the bowling alley shortly after the fighting started. Out of the 15-year sentence, AI served 4 months at the Newport News City Farm Correctional Facility when the famed journalist Tom Brokaw interviewed the 17-year-old Iverson in prison. At the time, Brokaw stated that he felt the sentence was very harsh. Once AI was free from incarceration, he had to finish his senior year of high school in a less desirable school for at-risk youth. But that didn't stop the head coach of Georgetown University's basketball team, and the first black head coach to win a Division I NCAA basketball title, to offer AI a full scholarship. Becoming a player on the Georgetown Hoyas led to the world witnessing AI's NBA-worthy skills. Then 2 years later, with his coach's blessing, Allen Iverson would leave Georgetown and later become the #1 draft pick in 1996, joining the 76ers, and he would earn Rookie of the Year in 1997. Before Iverson's arrival to the 76ers, the team had hired a new president, a young and free-spirited marketing expert by the name of Pat Croce. He saw the advertising potential that hip-hop possessed and was banking on Allen Iverson's raw, authentic attitude to translate into the ball player becoming what he felt could be the first hip-hop athlete, which proved to be right. In fact, Michael Jordan, the NBA star who was born a dozen years older than Allen Iverson, and wasn't much of a fan of rap music like Iverson, was vocal about Iverson needing to show his elders in the league more respect. With Jordan's only real connection to hip-hop culture being the overwhelming love of Nike Air Jordan sneakers, Iverson was positioned to become a bigger name within hip-hop, especially with a rap career on the horizon. Iverson's hard life and the hip-hop fashion aesthetic weren't the only reasons why it seemed like AI should have been poised to be the next biggest athlete-turned-rapper since Shaq. AI was so highly watched and respected by hip-hop artists that he had been constantly name-dropped 40 times or more by the biggest rappers you could think of. Drake alone, which is far after AI's career, has mentioned Allen Iverson in his lyrics at least 3 times, including on the song Thank Me Now in 2010, when he makes use of the AI Michael Jordan comparisons by saying, "That's around the time that your idols become your rivals. You make friends with Mike, but got to AI him for your survival." Drake's mentor, Lil Wayne, also mentioned AI on 10,000 Bars with the lines, "I shine hard and I be flossing very sweet, but I'm like Iverson, dog, I be bowling but very street." And back before Joe Budden was podcasting and he spit the bars, when the new generation think about Jordan, all they remember is when Iverson crossed him on the song Talk to Him. Then there are famous moments when Jay-Z put AI's name into his music by saying, "To guide y'all through, show you how it's done, I'm the question and the answer like Iverson." Another big Iverson reference by Jay-Z was when he decided to dive deep into his past rivalry with Nas. Jay rapped what many people thought was a low blow about getting with Nas' baby mama Carmen Bryan, even going as far as putting Allen Iverson's own intimacy with Carmen into the verse on Super Ugly by saying, "Me and the boy AI got more in common than just ballin' and rhyming, get it? More in Carmen. I came in your Bentley back seat, skeeted in your Jeep, left condoms on your baby seat." Carmen Bryan wrote a book called It's No Secret, From Nas to Jay-Z, From Seduction to Scandal, where she described the night she had in Atlantic City Hotel with Allen Iverson. But it wasn't just rappers putting AI in their songs. He was a real fan of lyricists who publicly dissed hip-hop music and the impact it had on his life. At one point, Allen Iverson penned a piece in the Players Tribune titled Allen, where he lists his top 5 favorite rappers of all time as being Biggie, Tupac, Andre 3000, Redman, and Jay-Z. Nas' daughter's mother, Carmen Bryan, wasn't the only rap-related romance that Allen Iverson was involved in. He was rumored to have been in relationships with several female rap artists like Foxy Brown, Trina, and most famously the Atlanta rapper Da Brat. In fact, Da Brat talked about how serious her feelings for Allen Iverson used to be and what led to their separation. "I used to wake up, pick his clothes out and cook breakfast, the things he liked. I just made sure he was happy, and he spoiled me and made sure I was happy. I was like, this is amazing. This is it. Then I think basketball players? O's. He had a baby mama and some kids. He had a lot of stuff going on, so it lasted for a good while." But back when Allen Iverson was working on his debut album, Da Brat provided him a guest feature. Another popular hip-hop figure that Allen Iverson became friends with is the flamboyant on-again and off-again rapper and preacher Mase. During a 2002 interview with Playboy, Iverson shared a story about playing a one-on-one basketball game up to 20 points with his friend Mase, purposely starting Mase off with a 19-0 lead over him, convinced that there was no chance that Mase could score even a single point on him. To raise the stakes, whoever scored 20 points first would win $10,000. Iverson explained his one-on-one basketball game with Mase by saying, "So we started playing, and once I stopped him 5 times in a row, he started beating me up, fouling me every time. I tied it at 19, and he knew he was in trouble because I shot a jumper and missed, and he grabbed the rebound and put it back in. He didn't take it back or nothing, and then he ran off the court, jumping around like he won. Hell, if I was about to pay him." Even though Mase did score that game-winning 1 point, Iverson clarified that he didn't part ways with the 10 grand for their competition. Because let's keep it real, he cheated. Fast forward to 2016, Mase was named in Allen Iverson's acceptance speech with a special shout-out and as being the music Iverson listened to throughout his career, right along with Cameron, Redman, Biggie, Jim Jones, Tupac, and Michael Jackson. That friendship between Allen Iverson and Mase would lead to music collaborations as well, such as the 1998 song Pay-Per-View featuring Mase, My Son, and Huddy Combs. And in fact, in 2017, when Jim Jones and Mase were beefing with each other, Allen Iverson took it upon himself to reach out to Jim Jones personally to try to put an end to the tension. This prompted Jim Jones to share the news on Instagram saying, "Just got a call from one of the greats, one of the people I look up to and admire. He said, all this ain't a good look for Harlem, family first. Damage control, we don't have to be friends to be cordial, hashtag Dipset. He spoke all facts, positive energy is what we need to project, hashtag Chuck. P.S. This is not about me and Cam for the simple people." The third significant rapper that Allen Iverson was not only cool with, but also made music with during his failed rap career was Jadakiss from The Lox. When AI signed his groundbreaking Reebok sneaker deal, fans got to see Jadakiss rap during the television commercial for AI's The Answer 5 sneaker. Then, when the Answer 6 sneaker came out, not just Jadakiss, but AI himself was rapping together in the black and white commercial, with rhymes that Allen Iverson wrote himself. Having his own Reeboks and rapping with a respected lyricist like Jadakiss in a nationwide marketing campaign put Iverson at the intersection of not just basketball and hip-hop, but also sneaker culture. 3 things that all go hand in hand. Even the most successful NBA rapper Shaquille O'Neal also had a sneaker with Reebok, but he walked away from the lucrative deal to intentionally produce much more affordable sneakers with Walmart instead, in the $19 to $29 range, making them less desirable to sneakerheads. That first Jadakiss AI commercial for the 5th installment of Iverson's Reebok sneaker was in 2001, the same year he was named NBA's MVP. Having his own sneaker since his rookie year of '96 was huge. With Michael Jordan having already retired from the NBA, that lane was clear for AI to be viewed as the biggest player. In fact, that year before, both AI and Kobe Bryant were supposed to have dropped their debut albums. The lackluster response to Kobe's music got his pulled from ever being released by Columbia Records, the parent company to Trackmasters Entertainment, who ironically was the production duo who made that innovative beat that Jadakiss and AI rapped to for their Iverson sneaker commercials. The track consisted of the sounds of Iverson's dribbling, his squeaking sneakers on the basketball court, and the ball swishing through the net. Unfortunately, that AI album would see a similar fate. Even with NBA Commissioner David Stern preventing AI's rap album from ever seeing the light of day, it was also believed that Stern didn't just have a problem with Iverson's music, but also the way he dressed. On October 17, 2005, the NBA issued a mandatory dress code for all its official players, and also those in the NBA Developmental League, or the D-League, which is now the G-League. This made the NBA and the NHL Hockey League the only professional sports organizations that were enforcing dress codes. Under this new rule, the most popular accessories of hip-hop fashion, such as jerseys, jeans, hats, do-rags, big tees, chains, pendants, medallions, worn over clothing, headphones, sneakers, and Timberland boots, sunglasses worn indoors, and sleeveless shirts were not allowed to be worn by players during interviews, games, on and off the bench, or any NBA-affiliated events. These banned items were practically a 2000s-era wardrobe for typical mainstream rap music videos, making the league's bias against hip-hop that much more apparent. Also, according to the NBA dress code, if a player wasn't in their official team uniform, they basically had to dress like a coach, in a dress shirt and necktie, sports jacket, or a suit. And players that repeatedly violated this dress code that took effect during the 2005-2006 NBA season were to be fined or suspended. Even though David Stern had blamed the super casual way that Steve Nash dressed as the reason for the dress code, it was Allen Iverson's hip-hop inspired cornrow braids, heavy chains, baggy clothes, and tattoos that not only made him stand out among other players, but were clearly many of the items that were now being banned by the NBA, making him look like the intended target. With Steve Nash being a white player, it appeared from the outside looking in that Nash was probably being used as an excuse so the ban wouldn't look racially motivated. In reference to braiding his hair, Iverson stated that he had a hard time finding barbershops when his team would be traveling to other cities and felt that braids were a functional solution. Allen Iverson wasn't the only player upset by the dress code, though. Even more pretty much low-key and conservatively dressed players like Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Steve Nash criticized the ban. Unfortunately, NBA Commissioner David Stern was not backing down and said at the time, if they're really going to have a problem, they'll have to make a decision about how they want to spend their adult life in terms of playing in the NBA or not. Even though Allen Iverson has more recently said that David Stern and himself became closer when they were no longer employed by the NBA, he still felt hurt by the dress code at the time, stating, "Back then I was 21 years old and I didn't understand. I was just kind of dressing like the guys from my neighborhood that I grew up with, so it was natural to me. And then with the tattoos, I always wanted them, but I couldn't afford them. Once I could afford them, I went overboard. But all the tattoos mean something to me. With the dress code and all that, I was hurt by it. I didn't understand it. Now, you see guys wearing whatever they want, looking the way they want, and I know this had a lot to do with me getting the dress code changed. But it's a good feeling to see guys expressing themselves the way they want to, because when you watch the game, everybody don't play the same, so why would everybody look the same? Why would everybody dress the same? You got all these guys with suits. When I grew up, I never went to the park with a suit on to play basketball. The only time I wore a suit was to church and to a funeral." So here we had Allen Iverson, young NBA star of the 90s, 2000s, who could have potentially been as big of a rapper as Shaq because he had a harder upbringing, beat the odds of a 15-year sentence for a crime he didn't commit, was a hip-hop fanatic, he could write his own raps, was popular enough to be named in the lyrics of dozens of rappers at that time, dated female rappers, had rap stars as friends, had his own popular sneaker, clashed with previous generations of players, and was respected for proving his worth against them on the court, kind of like old head versus new young talent, authentically impacted hip-hop fashion by popularizing a lot of these braid styles, and dressed so hip-hop that the NBA banned his look with a dress code that would take about a decade later to finally loosen up. So if these are all the reasons why Allen Iverson should have had a huge rap career, what got in his way? It wasn't that Allen Iverson had any trouble getting a record deal. He was signed to Universal around 1999, and his longtime marketing advisor, Henry Gaskins, was excited at the time about Iverson's music potential, saying, "This guy's going to end up printing money. Kids are going to want to hear what he's rapping about. Even AI himself was extremely excited about his album, feeling that he knew what it would take to be taken seriously as a famous NBA player looking to become a rapper, when he said, "A lot of people like, man, AI coming out with an album, he can't beat doo-doo. If he garbage, then it's just not gonna seem real, you know? A lot of basketball players did it. I'm not calling no names. I mean, I respect all of them for everything they've done, but a lot of people say a lot of basketball players that do it mess the game up because they didn't do it the right way. You know I'm gonna do it the right way. I'm gonna catch a lot of beef with the media as far as things I say, how I say it, and just by being hardcore street, I'm gonna catch a lot of beef with it. But the real people, the hardcore fans from the streets, they're gonna love it. And then the only people that I'm trying to reach the people that's real." But that early excitement would soon turn into dread when a nightmare of controversy exploded with the release of Allen Iverson rapping under the stage name Jules' single 40 Bars was released in 2000. Even the president of Iverson's team, the Philadelphia 76ers, who was originally excited by his hip-hop marketability, was afraid of the negative backlash from Iverson's lyrics, which were being labeled misogynistic, anti-gay, violent, and explicit, when the president said that the lyrics shocked them and stated, "I wouldn't buy the album if you're upset, but I wouldn't want you not to buy tickets because of it." Even with lyrics getting changed to create cleaner versions that could be played on the radio, it still didn't stop actual protests of the song from happening. A civil rights group protested outside of 2 local radio stations that had played Iverson's single 40 Bars, even though it was the clean version, insisting that they stop playing the song. Members of the Martin Luther King Jr. Association for Nonviolence were involved in demonstrations, with their then president, C. Dolores Tucker, stating that their concern was with protecting children from hearing what they considered to be lyrics that were anti-women, anti-gay, and too violent from an influential role model like Allen Iverson. In light of all the negative feedback coming from the very first single, 40 Bars, AI decided to change the proposed album title from Nonfiction to Misunderstood to reflect his frustration with the extreme reactions he was getting. There was also another very critical individual that wasn't pleased with the explicit content and the controversy that was arising, none other than David Stern, who said, "The lyrics that have been attributed to Allen Iverson's soon-to-be-released rap CD are coarse, offensive, and antisocial. Whatever constitutional rights of free speech an individual may have, there is no constitutional right to participate in the NBA, and I have the power to disqualify players who engage in offensive conduct, including inappropriate speech. Allen Iverson has done a disservice to himself, the Philadelphia 76ers, his teammates, and perhaps all of the NBA." Allen Iverson made a humble public statement back then addressing the conclusions people were making about him and his music by saying, quote, "If individuals of the gay community and women of the world are offended by any of the material in my upcoming album, let the record show that I wish to extend a profound apology. If a kid thinks that I promote violence by the lyrics of my songs, I beg them not to buy it or listen to it. I want kids to dream and to develop new dreams." Even with the album getting pushed for a potentially 2001 release date, David Stern made sure that Universal Records never let that album hit the stores, putting a dramatic end to Allen Iverson's album rollout. Eventually, Allen Iverson not only scrapped his album Misunderstood, but he put an end to his entire rap career altogether that same year. It would take another 9 years for a few tracks from Misunderstood to leak onto the internet in 2010. In 2022, over 2 decades after Allen Iverson stopped pursuing a rap career, he appeared on comedian Kevin Hart's podcast Cold as Balls to reflect back on the unfortunate end to his album Misunderstood by saying, "It wasn't a great relationship when I did that terrible rap album. When I did that BS, that's when I had a problem with David Stern. I remember going into the office and he was reading my lyrics, Kev. Like, David Stern was actually reading 40 bars off a piece of paper. And me, and former Sixers star Theo Radcliffe, I was trying not to laugh because I knew how serious it was. And the stuff I was saying, obviously, you know. So to hear David Stern rapping it, it was crazy. It was embarrassing." Many years later, AI proved that he was still keeping up with what was happening in rap music when he publicly gave Dallas rapper Post Malone's song White Iverson the thumbs up, saying that he felt it was an honor to have his name mentioned as the basis for what would be Post Malone's first viral hit. When Post Malone eventually got to meet Allen Iverson in person, he said, "I met the legend last night and there'd be no White Iverson without him. I'm still tripping at how sick it was, and as AI says, quote, the culture has no boundaries." Even though Allen Iverson was a major trendsetter that popularized hip-hop fashion on a massive platform like NBA, and lost his rap career in the process, it was his Reebok deal that still helped him get the last laugh at haters that assumed he went broke after exiting the NBA in 2010, and after reportedly blowing through $200 million of his fortune. In 2030, when Allen Iverson celebrates his 55th birthday, he'd be eligible for a $32 million payout from Reebok, thanks to the lifetime deal he signed way back in 2001. Ironically, the same year he quit rap. In addition to that large lump sum, he's also been getting $800,000 plus a year as well. Not bad for the athlete that merged the love of basketball and hip-hop at the highest corporate levels. But it does beg the question of, what if they hadn't stopped him? Would he have succeeded like Shaq? Would he have ended up like Kobe? For instance, Kobe didn't get to release, but we all know, especially from references like LL Cool J, that people were not going to receive Kobe's album well. We don't know if the same thing would have happened with Allen Iverson from the hip-hop community, not the people that were protesting against him, who were clearly not a part of it. Make sure to subscribe for more.